So today I've got Bill with me, who's going to take us through some changes that have happened in Parliament to do with voting.
Yes, thanks, Kevin. Earlier this year, the Parliament in Queensland voted to change the laws regarding elections so that electors now need to number each selection in this election, that is, number every box on the ballot paper in the order of their preference.
So we've got a video coming up to show you the behind the scenes part of how ECQ works and a couple of informal and formal votes.
Here we see an elector marking a ballot paper in accordance with the new rules for full preferential voting. So he's marking a preference in every box on the ballot paper. So the elector then folds their ballot paper and places it into a ballot box. So we've set out some sort cards for each candidate in an area where polling officials can conduct the scrutiny or count of ballot papers after 6 p.m. on polling day. So here we see the supervisor of a polling booth giving a briefing to his two staff in this case to conduct the count of ballot papers after the polling booth is closed. And so here we see the supervisor of the polling booth now checking the seals on the ballot box with his staff to ensure that the seals are the same as those that were placed on the box in the morning before polling started. Seals are then broken and placed off to the side, and the ballot box can then be opened and the ballot papers removed. So here we see the polling officials now sorting the ballot papers according to the first preference mark shown on each ballot paper to each of the candidates via those sort cards you can see on the table. And here we see the polling officials counting the ballot papers for each candidate, and as they go they are checking to see that the ballot paper is properly sorted according to the first preference mark and is still formal. The supervisor then notes down the total number for each candidate on the sort card and places the ballot papers inside each sort card, and they're now done. So here we see the results being recorded in the return for the polling place for each of the candidates, and then the calculations made to total that up and to ensure that it balances with the votes issued for that polling place. Okay, here we're going to look at a number of ballot papers, and we're going to talk about whether they are formal or informal and why. Here we have a ballot paper that has numbers in all of the boxes from 1 to 5. The numbers are consecutive, and even though they're not entirely clear, they're clear enough to make the voter's intention clear, so that would be a formal ballot paper for Nichols on the first preference. And here we have another ballot paper where the numbers are clear, they're consecutive, but in this case, where the number 5 would be on the ballot paper has been left blank by the elector. This also will be a formal ballot paper, as this is the only exception to the full preferential voting in the legislation. You may leave one box blank and it's where your last preference would go. In this case we have a ballot paper with numbers in all the boxes. They are Roman numerals, and so long as they are clear to the person making a scrutiny decision, then this would be a formal ballot paper for Douglas. Here we have a ballot paper where the elector, presumably, has added a candidate to the bottom, put a box beside that candidate and placed their first preference next to that candidate. Because none of the candidates who are pre-printed on the ballot paper have a first preference vote, this ballot paper will be marked as informal. Here we have a ballot paper with consecutive numbers up to 4 in the boxes for those candidates, but where the 5 would have gone for Nichols, we have either a V or a tick in that box. Because that box is not blank and there's something in it, this ballot paper will have to be treated as informal. And here we have a ballot paper that's marked 1, 2, 3, 4, and where the 5 would go, there's an X in the box. For the purposes of full preferential voting, this is going to be a formal ballot paper, as we'll take the X as a negative mark, which is where a 5 would have gone, so we'll include it as formal. Here we have a ballot paper where we don't appear to have a first preference marker 1, but we have other numbers. Where the 1 would have gone, there is a squiggle, but that is not a clear first preference mark, so this ballot paper will have to be treated as informal. And with this ballot paper, we've started our numbering at 2. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so there is no first preference or number 1 mark next to any of the candidates, so again this ballot paper will have to be treated as informal. And with this ballot paper, the elector has put their preference marks to the right of the name of the candidate. As they line up reasonably well, the voter's intention here is clear, and they have given each candidate a preference mark consecutively from 1 through to 5, so this will be a formal ballot paper.